Hey everyone, sorry this was a little late. I see I still have an old virtual background here, but we've got folks starting to come in. Welcome Aubrey, guest of the hour. I know Preston should be here soon, and I see that you are muted, so we'll want to get you off mute.
All right. Something happened. Hi, Aubrey. Good to see you.
I am
Okay,
not
quick to
hearing Aubrey. Are you?
so I can't hear Aubrey either. Oh, I'll miss.
Hold with us, everyone, while we get the technical issues sorted out. Appreciate your patience on that. All
All
right, Preston, I
right.
am seeing your screen now. Aubrey, just keep talking. We'll let you know if we hear you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I reset to a different microphone. I think it's working.
Woohoo.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well,
Well,
thank you so
Preston,
much.
I'll let you kick it off. I'm going to disappear from here, but excited to see what's coming.
Sounds great. Thank you, Hannah. And Aubrey, thank you so much for being here, joining us today. I have a few announcements that I will get through, and then I'll just turn the time over to you.
It's all good.
But thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're here live with us, or if you are watching our recording, welcome to a STEM Wednesday title, a very special one today, titled "Put a Spin on It: Good and Basic Manufacturing Around the World," with special guest Aubrey Bjork. So we'll get started with Aubrey just a second, and then Hannah, if you could in the chat drop a link to our MimioSTEM landing page. There is still time to get your submissions in for our current MimioSTEM challenge. So the requirements are you create an educational activity that features one of the MimioSTEM products with at least 50% of the activity's components, and you're showcasing the creation with just either an image or a video. And then if you could also provide a description showing how the activity emphasizes the educational significance. So don't hold back. Let us see where the STEM is being highlighted in your creativity. And we ask that those submissions are put in by December 15th, and then we will reveal our winners on December 20th. So if you go to that link that Hannah put in the chat, that should lead you to our landing page where you can upload any of that. And as a reminder, too, with our MimioSTEM challenge, we will be picking a winner, and that winner will get to select between either the Robo E3 printer with the 10-pack of PLA filament and a MySTEM Kids teacher plan, or the Lyric portable sound system. And then our final announcement, and then Aubrey, I will also disappear, stop sharing my screen, but I'm here with any assistance you need. But as a reminder, we have no STEM Wednesday next week for the holiday, but we will see you on November 29th as Jonathan introduces how one of the most commonly used scientific computing languages, Python, can be used with your MyBot or MyBot Recruit. Okay, Aubrey, there's I got nothing else. So if you need anything, shout, scream, put it in the chat. But otherwise, the time is yours.
Oh, perfect. I'm actually really excited to chat today a little about the business. Woohoo! Where I am sitting right now, actually. I am in the workshop, and everything we do is based here out of our very own garage. We currently have, if you can see our row right here of 3D printers, we have 9 functioning right now. Looks like one of them had a failure on the print, though. I'll have to check that here in a second. That's one of the troubleshooting things we run through a lot. And those 9 printers print all the products that we do. The business we run is called Good and Basic Manufacturing. We did not plan on running a full-time, part-time business, whatever you want to call it, at all, actually. We were living as students in a 750 square foot apartment with 3 children, and my husband was going to law school, actually. And he came to me and said, I've been researching 3D printers. I think they're so amazing. I love what they're doing. I said, oh, well, I mean, that's cool. Let's get a 3D printer and see if you can muck around with it, kind of as a Christmas present. And he taught himself the design, 3D design, using Tinkercad, which is an open source software. You can also use other programs like Blender. But we used Tinkercad again because we were students eating ramen, that whole business. And he tinkered with it literally, and his first print was the Thinker, Rodin's Thinker. We still use it as a Christmas ornament. We put it on our tree every year to commemorate our first introduction into STEM, and well, into STEM specifically with 3D printers. And after he had mucked around a little bit with the software, he ran a YouTube channel on the side called Good and Basic, where he explored primitive and appropriate technology and philosophy. And he wanted to make a pair of wool combs for that channel. And he looked into doing it. He made his own. It took him an obscene amount of time and a whole lot of Irish swears, if you know what I mean, because the tines are very sharp and they're kind of long in order to comb through wool. And he said to himself, man, there has to be an easier way to do this. There has to be an easier way to do this. I wonder if I could design something that would just be super basic, super good and basic, right? See what I did there? And that anyone could use and not have to put all of this time in unless they wanted to. If they were doing it for artisan reasons, then that's fabulous. But for people who were trying to use those tools in order to get somewhere else, isn't there a quicker way and a cost-efficient way to do that? And so he started mucking around a little bit and came up with our design for the wool combs. And we still use those wool combs. He has made several design modifications since then. It's been very much a learning process. Again, we're in 2023 now, and this was in 2017 when he first got his printer. So it was probably 2018, 2019 by that point, where he'd learned enough of the software and had been mucking around enough to kind of know what he was doing. And he said, you know what? I have these wool combs. They actually work. He made a video with them. That's on his YouTube channel, actually. He's made a couple of tutorial videos on how to use these products. And he said, I wonder if I couldn't sell these. Because it's very common for people to sell their 3D designs or put them up on Thingiverse. And I don't know if anyone would be interested. It's a very niche product. And so he put it up on Etsy, and it kind of went wild over a month. We sold probably 30 that first month, which is pretty fast for going from zero to full bore on the Etsy shop. And that was without us advertising. That was just people looking for this product and finding us through Etsy. And Joseph came to me again and said, I think that I might have discovered a market niche where people could actually use these products. Both of us are very passionate about history. Whenever we're sick, we watch the Victorian Farm series through BBC. It's just so British. We love it. And in this series, they use a lot of these old tools, a lot of antebellum machinery that just doesn't exist or is really difficult to get a hold of these days. And so that was part of our inspiration, was looking at that and saying, all right, well, we have wool combs. What other products could people use? And the Irish tension spinning wheel is a little bit complicated to design. And so Joseph said, well, I want to start with something practical that people can use, but that's also small enough that we can put it together now. And that was the charka. And the charka, for anyone who is not familiar with it, is an Indian, meaning the country, the Indian spinning wheel, like Gandhi in the Khadi era and cotton, that it was very popular for years and years and years. There's still some people who use it to spin, actually, because it's an efficient little spinning wheel that you can put on just a desktop. And it he looked at photos of actual charkas and said, you know what, I'm going to design mine as close to these originals as I can, and then put up all the files for free. And then I'll put up the actual print things in our business, so that if people want us to print it for them, because not everyone has access to a 3D printer, then anyone will be able to get a hold of these products. And to this day, every product that we post, we're a little behind right now, PS, but everything that we post goes up for free on Thingiverse. So anyone with a 3D printer is welcome to print their own. I am deeply proud of my husband's ability to design and of his IP that he's created, but the point of creating that was to empower people to create their own art, to get involved with their own tools, to understand sustainability and where their clothing comes from. Because I was really surprised as I started learning alongside Joseph. I just took for granted that I wore clothes. I didn't understand the different weaves, the different fabrics, even different plants. I didn't know, for example, that flax, the plant, creates linen, which was one of the huge fabrics of the Egyptians. That's what they wore, especially in Mediterranean or light climates, where you have this beautiful light fabric that wicks energy and moisture. And it does that because it's plant fibers. Whereas where you get herding cultures that maybe have yak or other wool staples, then you would use a spinning wheel or wool combs or something else to make the base for your fabric, for your clothing. So I found all of that deeply fascinating. And as Joseph was researching the charka, we were running into all of these really amazing facts. And by that point, we had the wool combs together, we had the charka together, and then we had a prototype for the Irish tension. So the Irish tension castle wheel is one that stands up. If you've seen the spinning wheel in Sleeping Beauty, touch the spindle. The spindle is not actually that sharp, spoiler alert, but that's fine. So if you touch it, in that movie, that's what an Irish tension castle wheel looks like. So we had those three products that we were looking at, and we were still pretty small by then. My husband was working another job. We were living in a different state. And he said, well, what if we send some of our products out to fiber enthusiasts, to fiber artists? And I said, oh, I mean, that's nice. If we can find someone on YouTube that has like 100 or 200 followers. And he said, no, I want to send it to, and he named a huge fiber artist influencer. And I thought he was insane because we were so small. We were such a small business, and printing, our plastics are biodegradable. It's PLA. But this fiber enthusiast was specifically known for her interest in wood and experience and kind of the Hig vibe. And I felt really uncertain about the whole process. But he sent a pair of wool combs, and he sent the charka to her as well. And to this day, we are still getting occasional referrals to our business from those posts that she put on her blog. Spoiler alert, she didn't absolutely love the wool combs. She was concerned that they were too heavy. My husband is 6'4", and he designed the wool combs for his hands. So for him, they're not as heavy. I can still use them. They're not as dangerous. I have combed and carded different things of wool with them. But they are heavy, and they are sharp because of the nails. So you do want to keep an eye out. But she was very complimentary to the charka specifically. And we felt really encouraged by that. And it was really exciting. A question from Hannah: could you scale them down and use smaller nails? So that is a wonderful question. Actually, we have another product called a flax hackle. And so there are different ways to comb out. And you can mount your flax hackle to a table or a normal hackle. I don't know if he has his. I think they're out in the shed. He has a normal hackle that you can mount to a table, and then you pull the fibers through the hackle like this rather than going with your hands like this. And so it's a little bit safer just directionally, I feel like. So you can do that. Part of the reason we use the nails that we did is they're just 16 penny. So it's a very easy nail to get a hold of, especially internationally. We've shipped now to more than 30 countries. And so it needed to be a non-specialty nail that people could either get a hold of or were familiar with somehow. But yes, technically, I mean, you could model your own design and use whatever nails you wanted at whatever, or even just metal of some type. We tried flax, what was it? What were the needles? Joseph tried one and he brought it to me and it looked like something you'd find in a torture museum. It was huge and it was so long and terrifying, and it worked, but it was also obscenely large and sharp. So we do go through a lot of iterations as we're designing these products, and there are a lot of failures. There are a lot of, oh man, well, that prototype really did not work. Question from Preston: what is the testing process like before you feel ready to upload files? So we generally will, we do not put up any files that we don't use ourselves. So if we are not comfortable using the products ourselves, because Joseph is actually a very competent spinner. He won't say that he is, PS, but he's really good at avoiding slubs, the little chunks as you're spinning. He gets a really smooth draw as he's going. And he has spun another one of the videos on the YouTube channel. He actually spun a full bobbin using our Irish Tenson castle wheel and just spun and spun and spun and spun and spun. And he has this beautiful emerald green bobbin that he filled solely using our wheel. So we do test pretty significantly. We send them to people and say, hey, how is this working? How do you feel about it? People who are familiar with it. We just traveled locally, actually, up to a yarn shop where we live and said, hey, tell us about your products. These are ours. How would these integrate with your storefront? And the fiber artists that we visited actually got really excited and said, wow, we'd love to take some of these with us. We're going to a fair this next year, so we're sending some products up with them. So it's mostly just an on the ground grit, you got to do it yourself kind of thing. It leads to some really interesting things. Like I'll go in the bathroom and there will just be a giant sheet fleece floating in the tub. We haven't gotten to dyeing in the tub, which I really appreciate because that would leave colors everywhere. So that would be a problem. But yeah, it's great. Another question: if students felt passionate to start their own business using a 3D printer, what advice would you give them to get started? And how could they tie in addressing a need similar to the story you started with? That's a really good question, Preston. I feel like 3D printing is just like any other business. And it's a combination of printing, one, what you actually deeply love, and two, what people actually deeply need. And the pull between both of those is a really interesting line. Can you start a business? Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the foremost 3D printers in the world started his business in a garage. My husband's uncle, Joseph, actually toured his plant, decided to start a 3D printing business using metal. And in the last 5 years, he has pieces on the International Space Station. So, and that was just him saying, I want to get into this business. I really want to get it done. It is a long haul. So get in it for the long haul. If you put up your business and in the first month you don't sell any product, I hope that the answer would not be, oh my gosh, it must be that I'm doing something wrong, or it must be there's something wrong with my product. That could be, and that's not a bad thing to look at. It could also be that you're just not finding your people yet. Where are the people that would be interested in what you want? Or in what, but in buying basically what you're creating. what are they interested in having? And one of the things that has been so valuable for us is we actually go back and forth with a lot of our clients and say, hey, thank you for buying from us. What tools would you be interested in? What things would you be interested in seeing in the shop? And not everyone is going to be pleased with your product. We have had some dissatisfied people with our shop, and that can be really hard, especially when it's something that you're making and have a lot of faith in, and someone else doesn't see that vision, or gets frustrated with the DIY aspect, because all of our kits are DIY. It's unfinished wood. The holes are pre-drilled. There's video tutorials that we put all of those together, but a lot of the goals that we have are literally just to get information into people's hands. So, like I said, the castle wheel is completely up on Thingiverse. And then on our website, we actually have a page called, I can't remember. I think it's how to instructions, but one of them is how to sourcing a wheel. And another one is how to starting a business with 3D printers, or how to 3D printing. And it shows what we did, how we did it, and has our advice basically on how to get all of that done. And because it is a process, and finding out what works for you, and sometimes just catching a little bit of a good wind. So coming back to the charcoal, when Joseph was designing that, he sent it to a YouTuber called Jillian Eve, who is great and fabulous and does really great fiber art work on her channel, and said, hey, could you review this, put it together? And she said, sure, I'll put it together and just see what happens. And she said, hey, I put together a video a couple months or so later, and we said, oh, that's great. And she said, do you want to see it? I'm gonna post it. And so my husband and I were sitting here looking at this little screen, and she did just an incredible job reviewing the product, and it was absolutely amazing. And both of us went, wow, we feel so appreciated. That was so good of her. The product looks great. Wow, I'm so glad she had a great experience. And then she she says, and now I have a special visitor on our channel. And Joseph and I look at each other and go, what? Who could that be? She says, this is Radhika. She is a first generation spinner from India. And we're going to talk about her experience with this product and with her original box charka that she has in studio today. I screamed. I was a little bit panicked. That talk about rubber hits the road. That is a road test right there. And fortunately, Joseph had really taken time in getting his prototype together. And they went side to side with her box charka and our good and basic charka. And she said, this is actually great. I bought one. And I went back through our orders, and she had, but I hadn't recognized her name because they called her the fiber professor on this thing that they were doing. And she teaches fiber arts using charkas, and said, I'm going to get some of these for my students. I'm so excited that this revival of this art is alive somewhere. And it was absolutely amazing to see that, and it was so fulfilling for me to know that a product that we had designed, I say we very grandly, let's be really clear, the way that we divide up the business in the past has been that Joseph has done most of the design, he does most of the printer maintenance. So if someone is going to burn themselves, it's Joseph. I do a lot of customer service. I do a lot of blog maintenance. I do a lot of tutorial and technical writing. I'm a writer by profession. And so I've done a lot of that back end stuff. And working together, we have split up a lot of those responsibilities. And I'll still, every once in a while, I'll go through and update blog posts and just get content together for things. So it's been a really rewarding journey. It has been really great to just develop different products currently. So that is a huge historical perspective. We are in 2023 now, and we have a flax hackle, we have wool hackles, we have an Irish tension spinning wheel, we have a table loom that Joseph actually designed and you can weave your own fabric. Now, the ultimate goal of Good and Basic is to get, well, Good and Basic manufacturing specifically, is to get from sheep to fabric using completely open source files that we've created, or that, I mean, you're welcome to purchase them from us as well. But if you have a 3D printer, you'd be able to do wool combs and then a spinning wheel and then a loom and get it all together. The next huge project is actually a full floor loom that will be about 8 feet wide, between 5 to 8 feet wide and maybe 7 feet tall. So they're pretty great. They're pretty great, and we are super excited about it. So hopefully it'll be a good thing. Again, look us up if you want to. We'd love to hear from you if you have any further questions. And I'll turn it back to you, Kristen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aubrey. Whenever that final one gets finished, we definitely need a side by side with Joseph standing next to it. I didn't know Joseph was that tall. 6'4". I'm 6'4". Very tall. For those of you that also don't know, Aubrey is also my cousin. So that is how we know each other, and just one of the coolest people that I know. So thank you, Aubrey, for joining us. And again, this was Put a Spin on It, Good and Basic Manufacturing Around the World. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, we will be sure to link everything that was mentioned in the video today in the description below. And if you need anything else, Aubrey, for us to share or send out, definitely send us those links as well. Thank you for taking time out of your day. And again, I just love the little army of 3D. Do you still have Skeeter? Is your first printer, or has Skeeter
yes,
retired?
we
Or?
do. Yes, we do.
I feel
Nope,
like
Skeeter is our
we
most
need a shot of.
reliable girl. Here she is. She is held together by literally yarn and love at this point, but has been fabulous. She has been absolutely fabulous. She's down for maintenance right now. I think he's doing a fan replacement.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Aubrey, for joining us. And thank you, everybody that was here to join us today. And again, in the future, for watching this on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Aubrey. All right. Bye, everyone.